Okay, there we go. It's working with me. Okay, right. So we're on chapter 3 of the demo. I'm assuming if it's like the demo for Gilded Shadows, it's just the common route, and then it ends with you choosing which romance to pursue. So I have not read ahead to find out who the romance options are, though I assume the boys that we've been talking to are some of them. Yeah. And I forgot last Wednesday to change the stream info, so it still said that I was playing the Changeling demo when I was not. So I went in and changed the VOD after the stream, and then I made sure to include the correct information when I exported it to YouTube. Yeah, I'm hoping to finish it today. Next week, I don't know if I'll do the demo for When Stars Collide or Fairy. I think it'll depend on how I'm feeling. So here we go. I was pretty sure I was dreaming. But it was cold and pitch black. There was no sound, no sensation. I tried to move, but it was as if the darkness was weighing me down. I tried to scream, but there was nothing. I couldn't hear the sound of my own voice. I couldn't even feel myself screaming. As I waited for any sign, any sound or hint of light, I slowly became aware of the fact that I was running. The slow tingle of sensation began to creep back. My feet were crashing through what felt like underbrush. The cold prickle of wet pine needles jabbed into me as I ran. I have to find what? I didn't know. Inwardly, I screamed at myself to stop running. No, not yet, not yet. It was my voice speaking, but it wasn't me. It sounded raspy and weird, and I didn't even know what I had meant by that. Finally, I came to a halt. My hand reached out to steady myself against something. I felt scratchy bark against my skin. The moment I touched it, reality came crashing back. Or rather, it felt like I went crashing from nothingness back into reality. Assuming the Stars Collide demo is 2 or 3 hours. Just assuming. We'll see. I expected to wake up in my bed in a cold sweat, but when I came to, I was standing up. I wasn't even in my room, much less in my bed. I was in the middle of the woods, surrounded by trees on all sides. I have never sleepwalked, and I am very glad from the stories that I've heard about sleepwalking. Panic rose in my throat. Did I do it again? That strange sensation of crashing back into reality was both eerily familiar and terrifyingly nostalgic. I had felt it before. How long have I been gone this time? My heart was thudding uncomfortably as I looked around and listened for search parties. It's probably stupid to immediately assume I'd been missing for weeks already, but it's not like it would have been unprecedented. There was only silence. I wasn't sure whether I should have been relieved or not, but at the very least, I must not have been gone long. But now what? It was dark, but cloudless. I was in a bit of a clearing, so the moon lit up my surroundings pretty well. I turned, trying to get my bearings. To my great relief, I saw the warm glow of lights through the trees only a short distance away. Was I just sleepwalking or something? That had never happened before, especially not to the point that I ended up outside. I took a deep breath and started making my way back towards the light. It was freezing, and before I stopped to contemplate any major questions about the current situation, I needed to get back home. I would worry about the sudden sleepwalking problem after that. Something in the distance let out a long howl. A shiver crawled up my spine as I looked anxiously over my shoulder. Coyote, maybe? It was a ways off, but still too close for comfort. I carefully picked my way through a little gully, wincing as I found a blackberry vine I hadn't been looking for. Ow, ow, ow! It managed to wrap itself around both legs in no time. Thorns jammed at my fingers as I tried to pry it off in the dark. The sudden crackle of underbrush off to one side immediately put my heart in my throat again. What was that? I strained to see into the shadows. It might have been just a deer, but this area did apparently have black bears, not to mention things like cougars. Everything went silent again. I was thinking of making a break for the lights. They were maybe 40 yards away and up a little hill. I could make it. Suddenly, a shadow moved. I tried to make out the shape, but it was deep in the trees, beyond the moonlight. To my relief, it looked like it was moving away from me. But when it suddenly broke into a run... I was almost certain I glimpsed something person-shaped. What? Someone else was out here too? But who? And were they watching me? Ever sleepwalk? I don't think anyone in my family has sleepwalked. We've certainly gotten up in the middle of the night, usually to go to the bathroom, but that's about it. Okay, first decision of the chapter. Run for the houses, follow the shadow. Okay, I forgot to grab my dice. Okay. Let's see. I need a D4. There we go. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. 2. Follow the shadow. Of course. I ripped myself from the blackberry vines with the thought of chasing the shadowy figure. Probably wasn't that smart, but I wasn't thinking clearly. I was outside at night and someone was stalking me. I wanted to know who it was and what was going on. I'd only gone a few feet before I realized that everything between me and that area was a sea of tangled blackberry vines. They were already snagging my pants, stabbing into my legs and feet. Ouch, 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 ouch! Thinking better of that decision, I retreated and decided to limp my way back up the gully towards the lights. Kept an eye out in case that figure came back, but they were nowhere to be seen. At the top of the gully, I realized I had been just below my house the entire time. The lights I'd seen were from Elliot's back porch. Elliot was their neighbor. Thank goodness. The back gate had been left wide open. I must have come out through there. From the looks of it, I was right. I hadn't been gone long. Lights were still off inside. Fortunately, I woke up before I got too far away. I let myself back into the yard, quietly creeping to the house and into the partially open back door. It was so weird knowing I had to have come this way, but I didn't remember any of it. It wasn't like it was unusual for me, but I could not afford to start this stuff up again. As I was shutting the door, I heard the sound of soft movement behind me. I spun around, startled. Of course it's her brother. Spencer was there at the bottom of the stairs. I could barely make his face out in the dim light from over the stove. What are you doing? I stepped out for some air. Couldn't sleep. About to tell him I'd gone for a little sleepwalk. I wasn't about to tell him I'd gone for a little sleepwalk in the woods at night. I padded across the kitchen and tried to get up the stairs, but Spencer blocked my way. That's all you were doing? Yeah, that's it. Can you let me go to my room? I'm freezing. I paused. Wait a second. I've been doing the creepy sleepwalker thing, and had to do some serious thinking about that, but what are you doing up? I heard you coming in. I thought it might be a burglar. Well, it's not. Just me. And since I live here, could you please move? He didn't look like he wanted to, but he finally stepped aside and let me pass. It wasn't until I shut the door to my room that I realized Spencer had been fully dressed, and wearing shoes. Why was he fully dressed if he got up when he heard me come in? Then again, maybe he'd thrown his clothes on when he thought he heard someone downstairs. Just looking to see if the bedroom has changed. Doesn't look like it. No one wanted to confront a potential thief in a t-shirt and boxers, I assumed, but I was way too tired to dwell on that. And before I could go back to sleep, I had to pick the thorns out of my feet, then disinfect the numerous cuts and scrapes that occupied me for far longer than I would have liked. When I finally fell into bed, I didn't have any more answers about why I'd been outside than I did when I first woke up out there. And I wasn't sure if there was anyone I could tell about it. Before bed last night and before my nighttime escapades in the woods, Allie and I had texted quite a bit about my less than exemplary first day at school. She had casually informed me that she would be driving me there and back for the foreseeable future, or at least until I got my own car. Fortunately, she lived in the same neighborhood, so it wouldn't really be an inconvenience for her to stop by. Yeah, I had a friend in high school. She and her mom moved, I think, while we were in high school, and so her mom would actually bring her to our house, and we'd take her to school with us. Either my mom would drive us, or our senior year, my twin would drive us. And then afterwards, we'd drive her home. So, yeah, it makes sense. The only drawback was that she usually had to arrive early because she did extra credit work in the office. It's mostly just filing and such, but it meant that she had to be there quite a bit before class started, which meant I would have to loiter around the school with nothing to do for a little over half an hour. I wasn't going to complain, though. It could have been worse. I had to admit that I was kind of annoyed Spencer basically won. He wouldn't have to drive me to school or put up with being anywhere near me anymore. But then Dad informed us that Spencer had lost car privileges for the next month. Dad would pick him up after school and drive him to the showroom for work, and the poor guy would have to catch the bus every morning. To add insult to injury, the car would sit unused the entire time since I'd be riding with Allie. She's not even going to be using it. Too bad. You left her at school on purpose. I don't think you deserve to drive the car. That's fair. That's good. I'm glad he's seen consequences for being a butthole like that. I'm already going to be working for you for a month and doing all her chores. I get it. I'm sorry. I just had a bad day. That's not an excuse to leave your sister crying in the parking lot. We were already at it when I went downstairs. I tried to ignore the fight as I ate breakfast. Oh, that's cool. I don't have any nieces and nephews. None of us are married. And I don't think any of us are planning on it. I'm certainly not. And even if I did get married, I don't want to have kids. But my cousins, on my dad's side, our cousins are right around my brother's age. And on my mom's side, she's the youngest of the family, so all of our cousins on my mom's side are older than us. They were adults well before we grew up. So my mom might as well have been an only child for much of her life, because all of her brothers and sisters moved out by the time she was in middle school. Was far away, plus her sisters went to the middle school. That makes sense. Yeah, my brother went to started at a different high school. He's the oldest of us. But the school district won't let my sisters, my twin and I, go to the same school. So he ended up transferring to the same high school we were, so it'd be easier because Mom was not going to drive to two different high schools. It wasn't easy, especially with the look Spencer kept giving me. He could not expect me to feel sorry for him. There was absolutely no way I would feel sorry for him. I certainly wouldn't. I mean, he was my brother, and he was already being punished. Tried to ignore the part of me that wanted to defend him. We are going to ignore the argument. We're not going to defend him because he was a butt munch. Of course, once I'm done actually playing the demo, I am absolutely going to go through and try all the other options as well. Because I gotta see it all. I mean, the punishment was kind of harsh, but to be honest, I kind of loved it. Yeah, sue me. He deserved it at this time. He deserved it this time. Blech. Maybe it would shake him up enough that he'd deal with his issues and start treating me like a fellow human being again. If he wanted to be mad at me forever, fine, but maybe now he wouldn't go out of his way to be mean to me. Or, hey, he could maybe even try to work things out like a normal person. Besides, I'd had a bad day too, and a sizable portion of my bad day was because of him. I was just rinsing my breakfast dishes when I heard Allie honking. Oh, so you and your family was pretty spread out in terms of birth order. My family, the biggest age gap was 4.5 years between my brother and my sibling. And my twin and I were in between that. So, yeah. My parents only wanted 2 kids. They ended up with 4. Moments later, I ran out the door, still trying to pull on my jacket. So, I was thinking, dangerous pastime. Haha, I'm not playing. Aww. Anyway, I was thinking that you should join my club. The one you were at yesterday? Man, it's so much nicer to ride with someone who isn't ignoring me for free. Oh. I must say, the background is pretty good. It's pretty good representation of the interior of a car. I would believe that they actually drew this from a reference. Yep, there are only a few girls in it. The only one who really shows up frequently is, well, she's kind of a bit catty. Oh, okay. So you're from a mixed family. My mom is too. My grandfather was married twice, and my grandmother married, well, before he met and married my grandmother. And my grandmother was married once. And my grandfather was basically Dear John during World War II, where his wife broke up with him. A dangerous pastime, I know. Yes, I'm pretty sure it's supposed. That's what it reminded me of, was Gaston and LeFou right after Maurice comes in to tell everyone about Belle and trying to get help to rescue her. Oh god, don't tell me it's Kara. Haha, no. So you want me to join a club and deal with some other catty girl? I want you to keep me company. You fit in great. Give it a try, please. In any case, if you're waiting for me to finish up every day, you might as well just join it instead of sitting around. Yeah, my twin was in marching band, so I had to wait until after her after-school practices. So I usually just and I did drama, so it's like we both had stuff we were doing. So it's not like I was bored. But sometimes my thing would be canceled, but hers wouldn't, and sometimes her thing would be canceled and mine wouldn't. It worked out. Okay, that's a fair point. What is this club anyway? Paranormal Mysteries Club, hence the title of the chapter. I stared at her. The first things that came to mind when I thought of the paranormal were UFOs, phone psychics, and those cheesy websites with articles about Atlantis and dinosaurs living in the Amazon. Really? It's actually really fun. I eyed her skeptically. I was sure it was fun if you were into that kind of thing, but I couldn't imagine her believing that stuff. So what, you research Bigfoot or something? Do ghost hunts? Look for aliens? Considering the other games I've played, this is not far off the mark. Well, not exactly, but you'll find out if you stop by. I promise you'll have fun. Oh, those 2 guys you live next door to, Elliot and Danny, they're both in it. Seriously? I didn't think either of them would be into that sort of thing. I tried to imagine Danny getting excited over blurry videos of someone in an ape suit. It didn't compute. You'd be surprised. Just think about it, okay? It might not hurt to give it a try, I guess. Allie let out her characteristic squeal of excitement. It would be really annoying if it wasn't so completely adorable. When we reached the school, Allie went to help in the office. I decided to stop by my locker before going to the library to read for a while. That's what I would do. When we'd get to school early, I just go to the library. Just derp around in there. It was definitely still pretty early. There was almost no one around as I opened my locker door to grab my trig and chemistry books. It would have been nice to not have to carry my books around. My backpack got so heavy. I really hoped that things would go more smoothly than the day before. Yesterday morning had only been okay because the stories hadn't spread that far yet, but by now everyone had heard them. I heard a soft sigh and turned around immediately, expecting to see someone behind me waiting for me to get out of their way. There was no one there. I looked up and down the hall, but there was no one in sight. Okay, that was weird. I definitely heard something. Chewing my lip, I slowly shut my locker door, still listening. It's a ghost! For some reason, doing that reminded me of Rory from Gilded Shadows. That poor guy, he went through the mill. Maybe it was a draft of some kind, but it really had sounded like a person. I shook my head and took a deep breath. It's either a ghost or someone under an invisibility cloak. It's probably just my imagination. I was on edge because of yesterday and last night, that was all. I headed for the school library. I wonder what sort of things they really do in the Paranormal Mysteries Club. Allie had said it was fun. When I got to the librarian was nowhere to be found, so I hid in a corner and read until the first bell rang. After that, I basically spent the morning thinking about Allie's club. She said Danny and Elliot were in it, but I didn't sit close enough to either of them in literature to ask about it. The only interesting thing about trying it was Corbin managing to fall into a knee-high wastebasket. Corbin, right. Okay, I'm trying to remember who these guys are. Chemistry was boring. Everyone had quickly realized Spencer would not engage, which meant they directed all questions at me. So I told them I'd been kidnapped by Bigfoot and Elvis. Couldn't wait until that rumor got around the school. Well, that's one way to deal with it. And I really hoped Kara enjoyed it. As soon as I reached the cafeteria, Danny ambushed me and insisted I have lunch with his group. Since it was better than eating alone, I didn't argue. He was so clumsy. Clearly, I mean, he knocked her in the head. Elliot was already waving at us from a table across the room, which made it even more impossible to say no. Danny led me over to where he and a few others were sitting. So, everyone, this is Lily. I shifted uncomfortably as all eyes were suddenly on me. Gosh, they're all so pretty. Oh, the new girl everyone is talking about? Well, she is new anyway. You sitting here today, Lily? Yeah, looks like it. I was relieved that no one argued. They just moved their chairs around so I could sit sandwiched between Danny and Elliot. I wouldn't complain. They're both cute. So how do you know Danny? I looked over at the girl talking. I had no idea what her name was, but she had a nice smile. Well, I moved in next door. Oh, so you're neighbors then? I nodded. Yep, that's what moving in next door meant, pretty much. The boy who spoke leaned across the table and grinned. So all the things that people are saying about you, are they true? James, come on, man. I was just asking. It's fine. And like I've told everyone so far, no, most of the things being said or speculated are not true. I really did get lost in the woods. I really don't remember it. My brother really was attacked by what we think was probably a cougar or something while out looking for me. Let me sit between them, please, and thank you, right? Yes, he injured one of his eyes. No, they're not sure how. It's actually nowhere near as mysterious as people try to make it out to be. It was just sensationalized at the time. All that happened was that I got lost and Spencer somehow hurt his eye. So, you really didn't see a murder in the woods? Raina, I think that's about as likely as encountering Sasquatch. Maybe it was a serial killing Sasquatch. I liked her. Well, aliens are also a popular theory. Serial killing alien Sasquatch? One-eyed, one-horned, flying purple people eater. Now that's just crazy talk. Everyone laughed, and I was just relieved the conversation didn't seem like it was going to be the usual interrogation. Oh, Elliot, man, I read about something yesterday that your club totally should investigate. Oh? Bat Squatch. Bat Squatch? You know, like giant bats. Gestured wildly as he started explaining this supposed creature to Elliot. Oh, Man-Bat from the Batman comics. I tuned him out and turned to Danny. So, I don't see Allie anywhere. I didn't see her yesterday either. Do you know if she eats somewhere else? Allie? Yeah, I don't think she eats in the cafeteria. Ah, I see. That was disappointing. I guess it meant I couldn't even have lunch with her. Wondered where she did eat. Maybe with the teachers or something? Oh, Celts. I was trying to figure out what this word was. It's Celts sideways, but the unicorn. Though I couldn't imagine that would be fun. Well, it depends on the teachers. Some teachers are super cool. Like my drama teacher in high school, she loved all of her kids. She couldn't have kids, so she saw the kids that she taught as her surrogate kids. But even if she wasn't around, Daddy's friends weren't too bad. They were rowdy, but really nice. I didn't usually like crowds much, but after yesterday, it was a nice change of pace to be surrounded by friendly people. Speaking of the club, Allie mentioned she invited you to join it. Oh, yeah, well, haven't made your mind up about it? Well, I mean... Glanced back at James dubiously as he tried to convince Elliot that bat squash was a viable topic of study for the club. Do you really study things like that? Danny just laughed. No, not really. We do look into the paranormal, but I suppose it's a little more mainstream than bat squash. Mainstream. Wonder if that was more along the lines of ghosts and ESP instead of UFOs and unlikely mammals. A good TV show for something like that, it's called The Ghost Hunters. My best friend and I watched quite a bit of that, and I actually have the movie that they put together of their first investigation, and I do recommend, if you have a vivid imagination, do not watch right before bed. Because we would watch it right before going to bed, and then I would lay there and I'd just keep my eyes shut the entire time, because I knew if I opened them at all, I would imagine that I was seeing something that wasn't there. Used to go to science club, did join anime club and art club, but didn't go just because I didn't want to stay at school any longer. I did join a model rocketry club in middle school. That was fun. And my dad really encouraged that, because my dad, he wanted to be a fighter pilot in the Air Force, but he couldn't because he needs glasses to correct his vision, and they wouldn't take anyone who needed corrected visions to be fighter pilots. Hi, James! And my twin basically started playing an instrument in elementary school, and she kept playing even into college. She was going to be a composer, but then she changed what career she wanted to do, but she still has her instrument. There are a lot of stories that have much more solid foundations beneath them than bat squash. You don't think that maybe some folklore has a seed of truth to it? I guess it depends on the folklore. I mean, if you take something like the vampires of Europe, a lot of people think that certain historical figures might have inspired some of those tales with their less than savory behavior. Vlad the Impaler. But if you're suggesting that the seed of truth is supernatural in origin, I'm not sure about that. But it does make for a potentially interesting study topic, right? I suppose it might. If Ali invited you, then you should consider taking her up on it. It might be nice to have a new member. No, seriously, we'd love to have a new member. Hey, that's not fair. I tried to join too, you know, and your president kept avoiding me until I finally ended up joining something else. Now my schedule's too full. I thought you didn't join because the club room creeped you out. That's not it. I mean, it is kind of creepy, though. I didn't even think the Mysteries Club accepted new members. Everyone I know who thought about joining ended up not doing it. We take new members sometimes. I think people often just decide they don't have time for it. Now they're making me kind of curious. Yeah, that's definitely, yeah, I've definitely seen that the whole Changeling children thing is because, yeah, the children turned out to be autistic. Yeah, I've seen that too, James. And Danny's description actually did sound kind of interesting. At the very least, it was different than what I'd first imagined. I mulled it over for the rest of lunch, wondering just what kind of club it really was. By the time school let out, I was actually in a pretty good mood. As a bonus, the day had only had a few mildly annoying moments as opposed to the whole thing basically sucking, like the day before. I was relieved. Allie showed up in my class to get me, waiting by the door while I shoved all my stuff in my book bag. We made a quick pit stop by my locker before she insisted on taking me up to the 4th floor to see the club. So, did you make up your mind yet? I mean, about trying out the club. You will, right? Well, I mean, you're kind of hurting me that way regardless. Yep. It's not like you have anything else to do. That's true. I'll just take a peek, okay? Alright, I'm sure you'll like it. At the bottom of the stairs, I paused and looked up. I'd been to the 2nd and 3rd floors, but never the 4th. I'd heard it just had a bunch of empty classes. Even when I was here in middle school, everyone had said it was haunted. The school's haunted! We started up together. Are all the high school clubs up on the 4th floor? No, there are only about 5 others besides us. A lot of people prefer to use classrooms on the lower floors. Apparently, it's creepy up here. I have heard that. I stopped at the top of the stairs, shivering slightly as I looked down the long hallway. It looked just like the one downstairs, but I had to admit the atmosphere was different. Maybe it was because most of the lights were off, or maybe the air was just stuffy because no one really used the space much. It really did feel different, though. Come on! Allie took my arm and pulled me down the hall towards one of the open classrooms. I stopped outside and peered in. No one else was there. The club room itself looked pretty boring, actually. I was surprised, especially after hearing how creepy people found it. Instead, it just looked like a really normal, empty classroom. It wasn't creepy at all. Looks kind of mundane, right? Out of nowhere, Allie practically shoved me through the door, and something happened. Whoa. Okay. So what do you think? What? It looks, what? Looks a lot bigger when you're inside it, doesn't it? I stared at her slack-jawed. She had the most infuriatingly smug look on her face. Here we go. So I guess this is the big turning point for the story. Bigger? Yeah, it looks bigger and completely different. Where did all this stuff come from? I looked at the hallway. It looked as normal as ever. But the classroom was now brimming with furniture and decorations that had definitely not been there when I first looked in. I know, right? This is a schoolroom? I rubbed at my eyes, so I'm not sure what I expected that to do. Not a TARDIS at all. I was thinking that. Was I dreaming? No, I mean, obviously I wasn't. But how? I shook my head and walked back out into the hall. It looks totally normal from out here, and Allie? Couldn't see her anymore either. Burst back into the classroom, and there she was again, along with the decor and the trappings. Whoa, I don't understand. What is going on? My head was spinning as I tried to work this out. Mirrors or something? It had to be mirrors or something, right? Eee! I knew you were one of us. She grabbed my hands and squeezed them, grinning at me happily. Glamour? Whoa, back up. One of us what? Paranormal, or cryptic. Some refer to us as supernaturals as well. Whoa. Okay. Mark? You sound uncertain. Wait, had he been there the whole time? He was standing in the corner by a large bookshelf, a book in hand, as he glared at me with the usual disdain. This was the guy who was like, "You're sitting in my seat." No, I know it's you, I just have no clue what's going on here. He shot Allie a strange look and huffed an annoyed sigh as he snapped the book shut. She's probably still awakening, but, I mean, she's obviously one of us. She's here, right? Okay. If she wasn't one of us, she wouldn't be able to see the club room. He studied Allie worriedly. Allie, you're kind of starting to creep me out. Why do you keep saying one of us like I've just been inducted into some sort of creepy cult? Also, paranormal, cryptic? Okay, calm down. Take some deep breaths before your blood pressure gets dangerously high. I know this is confusing, but I can explain. It does explain why they were best friends and still best friends. Very amusing. I don't want to take deep breaths. I want to know what's going on. Okay, well, you're a logical person. Evil laugh, maniacal laugh, maniacal laugh. Just put two and two together. Clearly this isn't a normal classroom, right? Well, yeah. There are two possible ways to explain what you've experienced. Science or magic, right? Science wasn't my forte for sure, but magic? I think I need to sit down. Allie helped me to the nearest sofa and Mark produced a glass of water from somewhere. Cue lightning. There was a roll of thunder and a crash of lightning. And to make things short, too late, one by one you all arrived. For all I knew, he pulled it out of a hat. My head was spinning like crazy. Magic. Allie was not trying to tell me this was some kind of magic room, was she? Or even before that, was she trying to tell me that magic was real? Feeling better? Not really. Allie just laughed. I glared at her. This was not a laughing matter. I was having a crisis. Are you telling me that magic is a thing? A real thing? A thing that actually exists in a real, practical way? The matching skull or snake tattoos? Run. Yeah, especially if it's a skull with a snake coming out of it. Yes. And this room is magical. Yep. And I'm magical? Most likely. I stared at the door. I could see the hallway outside. It looked perfectly normal. There was nothing near the door that could explain what happened when I entered. No visible mirrors, cameras, or projectors. So, wait. So this is suggesting that Danny and Elliot are also supernatural. Yeah, room of requirement. Yes, exactly. But the fact that James didn't join the club, does that mean James isn't supernatural? Heck, I couldn't even come up with a way it would be possible to do something like that with projectors and cameras. Took a deep breath and let it out slowly. At lunch, someone said that this club doesn't take new members much. This is a club specifically for the supernatural members of the student body. Obviously, normal humans can't be permitted to enter. So that means that James is a normal human. Typical humans can't see this room, not as it is. As you notice, from the outside, it looks like a normal, empty classroom. From the inside, it still looks like a normal, empty classroom to normal people. In fact, the spell in this place actually repulses normal people, so they don't even want to enter it. A spell? Like a magic spell? Yep. Is this how Alice felt when she fell down the rabbit hole? Actually, I was pretty sure Alice handled that way better than I was handling this. Alice was also younger. I took a deep breath as I listened to Allie's explanation. The spell is designed to protect the club from discovery. It can alter memories, perception, or even the room's location if it needs to, all toward that end. I'm still trying to get my head around all this. I mean, logically, I knew none of this could be true, but here was Allie, someone I trusted and knew was down to earth. She was telling me this was real. And maybe it was a prank, but I really didn't think Mark was the sort to play pranks. Based on our meeting the previous day, I was almost certain he didn't have a sense of humor, and Allie wouldn't do something like this to me. Not today. I looked up at her and she patted my hand gently. So I can see this room because I'm not normal. That's correct. What about you? Well, I'm a witch, the magic-using kind. I tilted my head slightly. Oh. Okay, I actually hadn't expected that answer. Not sure what I did expect, though. Okay, let's assume for a moment that instead of thinking you're just insane, I believe you. How did you know I was, what did you say, cryptid? I mean, you invited me to the club this morning, so you already knew, right? Cryptic is the word you're looking for. We're not animals. Cryptids are creatures that can't be proven with science, but cryptic is just a name some people adopted for us. It's shorter to say than paranormal or supernatural, so a lot of us go with it. Hey, unless there's a test on it, I'm not interested in vocabulary at the moment. Is she always this sarcastic? Only when she's upset. It's sort of like a litmus you can use to tell how close she is to having a complete freakout. Ah, I see. I'm right here, and what I'm interested in is how you knew I was a cryptic. At least why you thought I was. Blood pressure. Allie! Okay, calm down. The reason I knew was because of Corvin. Corvin? What does he have to do with it? Remember that book he dropped? Yeah, that weird, creepy one? It wasn't just a book. It was a grimoire. There he is. Corbin was standing at the door as if he'd just come inside. Man, if this is a prank, they were really going all out. But at this point, I had a feeling that hoping it was just a prank was pointless. Marks like a funny bone aside, Allie didn't look like she was joking. And it's not creepy, by the way. Don't call someone's grimoire creepy. Hey, Cor. So we were right about your friend? Well, you can see for yourself. Welcome to the Paranormal Mysteries Club. Lily, right? As usual, he was pretty bubbly. He waved at me from across the room. Did you say it was a grimoire? Like a magic book? That's right, and normal people can't see it, so when you so kindly wanted to pick it up for me, I knew you couldn't be a normal human. Thank you, by the way. That was nice of you. If I'm not normal, then what am I? A witch or something? And does this mean Spencer's magic too? Because I really don't think letting him have magic is a good plan. Who's Spencer? My brother. My very paranoid, emotionally delicate brother. While I was speaking, Corbin wandered over and sat on the table next to the sofa. And immediately overturned the glass of water Mark had given me. He jumped back up as a cascade of water ran down his pants and down the arm of the couch onto my lap. Ah, sorry. I'm still too shocked by the whole magic thing to even react. Sorry, I'm sorry. Sorry? He looked around, presumably for something to wipe up the water with. Just sat there, staring at my soaked jeans dumbly. Allie, perhaps you could... Don't worry, I've got it. Annoying as that was, this should prove it to you, Lily. She flicked her hand towards me in a strange circular motion and chanted something under her breath. I was expecting something like this. I felt an undeniable wave of warm air and looked down to find that my clothes were completely dry, as was the sofa. I had my hands over my legs in wonder. There was no sign that they'd been soaked through only moments before. Whoa. That even dried my underwear. Creepy. Really, Allie? Come on. His pants were still soaked all down the front. Maybe if you'd learn to actually read the mood for a change. It wasn't on purpose. Help a guy out. Air magic really isn't my forte. Corbin made his best attempt at sad puppy eyes. Allie sighed and rolled her eyes before repeating the hand gesture and chanting she'd previously aimed at me. This time I saw something. It's kind of hard to describe. The air around Corbin seemed to ripple and the water was just suddenly just gone. This is real, isn't it? Allie turned back to me. I knew I was gawking up at her, but I couldn't help it. I mean, none of this was possible, except I was watching it happen. No mirrors, no tricks. This was the real thing. Oh my god. You're telling me that I can learn to do that kind of thing? Now that we don't know. There are a lot of different types of cryptics, and not all of which have inherent magic. And we really don't know what type you are. There are many that are non-human. Wait, if I'm some kind of not human thing, what about my family? You're saying my parents have basically been lying to me all this time? Not necessarily. Someone can be a cryptic without their family knowing. For instance, if they were infected by something that changed them. Like zombies? No, like vampirism or lycanthropy. I'm not a vampire. Wait, vampire? No, you are most certainly not a vampire. Hey, why are you saying that in such a snooty way, mister? Forgot to check who said that. But infection isn't the only way for humans to acquire supernatural abilities. Aside from being born with innate magic, there are lots of reasons humans develop powers. Being descended from paranormal creatures is one reason, like having fae or elvish blood somewhere in your lineage. Elves? If you did, there's a good chance your parents wouldn't even know, depending on how far back it was, and fae blood can lie dormant for generations before rearing its head again. Not sparkly enough for a vampire. He was talking to me about elves. I gripped my forehead tightly. I could almost feel my brain being crushed under the weight of all this. What everyone is trying to get at is that there are lots of possibilities. If you've never demonstrated magic before, it's probably just developing right now. And probably for reasons similar to what Corbin just stated. So now you're telling me I'm not even human, that I'm a fairy or something? Calm down, no one is saying that. We don't know anything for certain just yet. There are ways to find out though. Some of them just take time. I don't think I want to join this or be a part of this. I mean, suddenly being not human, it felt gross. Just thinking of the idea that I wasn't even what I thought I was my whole life. I didn't like it. I caught that look the three of them shared. What is it? It's just that you don't really get a choice. What? Just listen, if you think about it logically, people like us can pose a huge threat to human society, if not because we have unusual abilities, then because by not keeping a secret, we could disrupt things. There are other reasons as well, but those are the primary ones. As you can imagine, there are organizations in place to govern people like us, since normal law enforcement can't really do it. Organizations like government organizations that keep track of cryptic. So now that part of the reason this club exists is because we kind of help keep an eye on the cryptics of the school and town as a whole. You mean there's more than just, wait, Danny and Elliot are in this club? That's right. So they're also cryptics, and there are quite a few others. Once we discover someone new, we're obligated to report them and bring them into the club. The cryptic registration office lets students register through us because it's less stressful than having to go to the local agency. But people who don't cooperate with us have to deal with them directly. It's way better to deal with us. I mean, they're not dangerous or anything, but still. The agency is definitely full of weirdos. You don't want to meet them anytime soon. So I don't get a choice at all. Look, it sounds all scary, but it's not. Your world is about to become really amazing. And think about it this way. What happened to you and Spencer as kids may be connected to this. I did think of that. The masquerade. So how many times is that going to be threatened? But yeah, I was thinking that whatever happened to them as kids is definitely related to her being a cryptic. Whether it caused her to be something else, that remains to be seen. But this is kind of the whole point of the story, is her figuring out all the secret magic people at one club. But the whole point of the story is to find out what's going on, what happened to her. That wasn't entirely impossible, actually. Remember when we were little, you and Spencer used to always tell me about the things you saw out in the woods. We were just playing, though. Were you? Nothing to see here. Move along, move along. I ran my hand over my face, thinking about that. It was so long ago. My memories were understandably fuzzy. I remember that Spencer and I had imaginary friends. Sometimes they would come and talk to me at night, and was it possible all of that was actually real? Then when I vanished, when Spencer was attacked, the things he'd said back then. We can help you research that, maybe find some answers. Maybe find a way to help Spencer and fix whatever broke there. You really think I could do that? Sure, if you learn about yourself, surely you'll learn something about your twin as well. There we go. So I'm not going to say this one because I absolutely think they are connected. There's my eraser. I can write. I can spell. Said my family might not be cryptic, so. You said even if I'm a cryptic, it doesn't mean my family is. That's right, cryptics have weird genetic quirks. Like I said, with certain types of lineage, it's possible that no one will have even the slightest affinity for magic or exhibit any cryptic traits for decades. Then it suddenly pops up again, and one person in one generation as strong as when it was first injected into the bloodline. That's why something like that might be more probable for you than just spontaneously developing magic. Though that does happen too, rarely. So that means it's just me, I'm the only one that's different. Not necessarily, you are twins after all, it's just that given his personality, you might want to approach him more cautiously. This is all way too much. I stood up and gave Allie a shaky smile. I think I need some fresh air. Lily? Just for a few minutes, please? I can't absorb all this at once. I stepped around Mark and Corbin, heading for the door. The room felt like it was closing in around me. I had to get out of there and get back to reality for a few minutes. I could contemplate the implications of all this in a place that didn't make me feel like I'd been carted off by a tornado to some strange place and should expect singing munchkins to appear soon. I wonder what she could possibly be referring to here. I didn't even know where I was going, just out, just away from here. Someone stepped through the doorway just as I tried to leave. Can you please move? My words trailed off into a terrified squeak when I looked up at the boy I was speaking to. Hey, it's the guy from with the motorcycle. I'm pretty sure it's Ewan? Ewan? He had no my vision blurred and my entire field of vision narrowed in on the empty space above his shoulders and the gaping hole where his neck should connect to his head. Stunned, I turned back to Allie, though I don't know what I intended to say. My airway constricted, and for a moment I forgot how to breathe. My knees started to go all wobbly, and I knew I was about to hit the floor. Lily! I think I'm going to pass out now. And with that, everything went black. I mean, I don't blame her. You're confronted with a dude with no head. How else are you expected to react? One too many shocks on top of each other. Under the bridge. Yes, I did think of that, the Headless Horseman. I was probably out for no more than a few minutes. When I started to come to, I realized I must be lying on the sofa. I could hear the voices of the others arguing. You could have at least tried to catch her. My hands were full, as you might have noticed. Brenna, it's not funny. His hands were full. Mark, couldn't you have reached her before she hit the floor? They're talking about me. I didn't see a need. I highly doubt a fall from that height would seriously harm her in the first place. Really, my dude? Are you calling her short? I have to warn you, she's always hated that. That jerk. I'm not short, just a little vertically impaired. I'm sorry, my dear, short. I'm short too. I get it. I groaned and tried to open my eyes so I could tell him off. Lily, are you okay? The first face I saw was Corbin's looming over me, looking concerned. Easy. You don't want to move around too fast just yet. I thought I saw, You did see it. Bolted upright. Mm-hmm. It was me. Sorry, I didn't know a newbie was in the club, or I would have stayed away. I stared up at him. His head was where it should be, thank God. Oh, I, didn't recognize you without a head. That does make things difficult. The unfamiliar black-haired girl was still laughing. I didn't find the situation at all funny, to be honest. I don't think we've met. The girl bounded across the room, pushed Corbin out of the way, and bounced onto the sofa right next to me. She had no concept of personal space. She was practically sitting on top of me. Well, no wonder Allie wanted Lily to come. Brenna, that was my foot. So you're the new girl. She looked up and down, almost as if sizing me up. She was pretty, but her gaze made me feel really uncomfortable. Leaned in really close, staring into my eyes. A deep frown creased her brow. I stood carefully just to give myself some space to breathe. Corbin stood too, reaching out to steady me when I swayed slightly on my feet. Are you okay? I'm just trying to work out at what point I fell down the rabbit hole so I can maybe climb back out. Corbin patted my shoulder gently. Maybe Allie should take you home now. I don't think we really made this very easy on you today. It's been a while since we had a new member in your exact position. Yeah, the trick with the headless boy blocking the doorway isn't one I recommend for new members. Funny. Come on, Lily, Cora's right. Probably best to get you out of here for a while. I didn't argue. I definitely had enough of the Paranormal Mysteries Club for one day. Allie led me out of the room, and I just followed obediently, still in a daze. The moment I stepped out into the hall, the voices of the others completely faded away. I looked back once, but all I saw was a plain, empty classroom. How does that... I mean, if someone sees us walk out of there or something. Like I said earlier, the spell is designed to do what it takes to protect the secret. It can alter perception or even memories to ensure that no one notices anything. I see. I know it's a lot. I'm sorry. If I could have warned you, I would have. Please don't be mad at me. The more I thought about it, the more I realized she probably couldn't have done things differently. It's not like I'd have believed her if she told me the truth during the drive to school. As much as I wanted to, I couldn't really fault her there. It's not your fault, okay? I just feel a bit overwhelmed. That's understandable. I'm sorry I freaked out. I'm sorry we scared you. She put her arm around my shoulders as we headed towards the stairs. We didn't say much for the rest of the walk to the car. Right as I was about to get in on the driver's side, I stopped. This is all real, isn't it? I'm not crazy? It's real, and you're not crazy. At least no more than you were yesterday. Cute. After you've had time to process it, it'll probably seem a lot less scary. In the end, despite everything, we're all pretty much just normal high schoolers. Someone was walking around without a head. In what universe does that constitute a normal high schooler? She just laughed slightly and motioned toward the car. Come on. Was it like this for you? I mean, when you found out you were a witch? I guess it wasn't so sudden. I started seeing things, weird things first. I thought I was going completely bonkers and I was afraid to tell anyone, especially Mom and Dad. Mom is busy with her research and Dad is busy with the company. I didn't think either of them needed to deal with their daughter losing her mind. She gave me a long, serious look. I tried to deal with it alone for months. You at least have the rest of us. It'll make a big difference. I managed to get myself into some serious trouble. There are a lot of pitfalls in this world if you don't know they're there. Normally we help educate people and get them to read up and learn things on their own so they know what to expect. I didn't have anyone to do that for me, though. I nearly died. My magic went completely haywire, but this one particular wizard helped me. He introduced me to everyone else, and I realized I wasn't alone. That would have been a new line. I'm a wizard, Harriet. When did all this happen? You never said a thing. Well, I mean, of course you didn't. Texting me with, hey, I'm a witch, was probably the last thing on your mind. But wish I'd been there for her. I was freaking out as it was. I couldn't imagine dealing with all of it completely alone. No support. Even if I couldn't have known what she was dealing with. I felt like a really crappy best friend. It was almost 3 years ago. No need to worry about it now. So, right around freshman year of high school. She gave me a wicked smile. Of course, now that you do know, you better be prepared for all the rants about magic and every witchy thing, like brooms. People actually ride them. I cannot, for the life of me, figure out how to manage it. Having a stick jammed between your legs is the most uncomfortable thing ever. I couldn't deny that it sounded uncomfortable when she put it that way, and rather suspicious, to be honest. I gave her a teasing smirk. Haven't quite gotten the hang of it, then? Yeah, no, definitely not. We had a good laugh over that, and I found myself so relieved that Allie was, well, still Allie. I knew her crazy secret, but I felt like nothing changed except the topic of conversation. What happens if a cryptic takes LSD? It must be difficult to separate magical reality from hallucination. They say pink elephants on parade, I'm packing it in. That was comforting. She dropped me at my house, promising she'd text to check on me. After the drive and a hot shower, I was able to put things into perspective. Millions of people dreamed of something magical happened to them, and here I was having it actually happen to me. Okay, I could do without the headless fellow club member thing. That was creepy. Why is he headless anyway? And the thought of being a fairy or something was just outright weird and so uncomfortable, but it was still kind of cool in a way. I went to bed promising myself to have a more open mind the next day. The next morning I woke early and texted Allie that I'd meet her down by the neighborhood entrance instead of at my house. I thought a morning walk would help clear my head and get me prepared for the crazy that awaited me at school. And I was kind of worried about facing Mom and being able to act normal. And she always had the weirdest knack for figuring out when something was bothering me. I still needed time to get my head around all this before trying to work out how to successfully keep it from my family. Especially Spencer. I couldn't deal with him while this was hanging over me. I just quickly said I wanted to take a walk before school and slipped away. While Mom was getting ready for work. It's noticeably colder than it had been the day before. Well, it was near the end of October after all, just a little over a week and we'd already be into November. So, right around my birthday. I see pink elephants! I see them too! Change them back! Yeah, people find the pink elephants on parade sequence in Dumbo to be creepy, and I'm like, it's not creepy. What's creepy is the boat ride in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. That's creepy. But pink elephants, it's just pink elephants. These were all just waiting for a good fall storm to come and knock them down. I adjusted the strap of my book bag and tipped my head up, taking a long, deep breath of cool air. Walking in the morning sun made yesterday afternoon seem even further away. Everything was just normal. The world looked like it always had, and yesterday was seeming more like a weird dream. It was hard to brace myself for something that didn't even feel real yet. I shook my head slightly and kept walking. Ahead of me was a little creek and a bridge that went over it. It's so cool. I've been wanting to take some reference shots, so I didn't think I had time. It might not hurt to at least stop and get some ideas for angles, so. Allie had to drive by there to get to the entrance anyway, so it's not like I'd miss her. I slowed my steps as I reached the side of the bridge, peering down to where the creek turned away and vanished into the trees. Pretty. Maybe it wouldn't hurt to take one or two photos while I was there. I reached into my bag to find my phone. Come by! Come by! I paused, tipping my head to the side. Was that a voice? I stood still and listened. Sure enough, there was a faint voice muttering in a raspy sing-song. It sounded like it was coming from under the bridge. Currants and gooseberries, bright fire, blackberry, barberries, berries to fill your mouth, citrus from the south, sweet tongue and sound July. Come by, come by. Someone really is under there. Is this a troll under the bridge? The creepy voice, which continued to sing, conjured images from every old fairy tale I'd ever read. Still, I wonder if it's a homeless person. If I listened carefully, I could hear them puttering around down there as they hummed. Bridge troll. It was awfully cold for someone to be staying under the bridge. I bet the neighborhood association would have a heart attack, too. I probably shouldn't look. I didn't really want to look, but, I mean, whoever it was couldn't just stay under there. It'd probably be best to let someone know so they could help them find a more reasonable shelter. I found myself carefully picking my way down the embankment, one hand on the lower edge of the bridge to steady myself. The voice stopped the moment my feet started crunching through the dried leaves. Shoot, what if it's someone dangerous? My heart was in my throat as I carefully peeked under the bridge. I expected just a craggy old man in dirty clothes. Instead, I came face to face with an impossibly large, moss-green eyes and a mouth as wide as my head, giving me a toothy smile. I froze. The eyes blinked. I blinked. Whatever it was reached toward me with a gnarled hand. I let out a shriek and staggered backwards. You're back! You came back! The creaky joints unfolded and huge feet shuffled toward me. The thing was massive, much bigger than I'd realized at first. I tried to scramble away. Come with me! I'll help! I know how to help! I threw my book bag at the creature's face and tried to run up the slippery embankment. A clammy hand clamped around my wrist, pulling me back towards the creek. I screamed again, desperately trying to pry the fingers off. Let go! Let go! His grip tightened and it chuckled with that rusty voice. Come away! Come! I looked back, terrified, as it dragged me down the creek bank. Suddenly there was a heavy weight against my back and two soft hands covered my eyes. Don't look! You mustn't look at goblin men! That's what the old poems say, isn't it? The whispered voice was familiar. That girl from the club yesterday? What was her name? Brenna? Help! Come on now, let her go. There was a soft, menacing hiss next to my ear, and suddenly my wrist was free. I tore myself away from Brenna and, nearly in tears, scrambled back towards the bridge. I clawed my way up the side of the embankment and bolted for the entrance, my heart still in my throat. As my feet pounded against the pavement, I heard a hoarse, raspy voice wrestling after me, but this time I couldn't make out the words. By the time I reached the entrance, I was completely out of breath. Kept looking on my shoulder, expecting to see that thing clambering up the road for me, but neither it nor Brenna was anywhere in sight. What was that? A few moments later, I saw Allie's car crest the hill and come quickly towards me. I sagged with relief, barely waiting for her to stop completely before climbing in. What's wrong? I swear, I could never hide anything from her. There was something under the bridge. Allie glanced in the rearview mirror. Something? I shook my head, still trying to catch my breath. Just go, please. My voice was completely hoarse. I wondered if anyone heard me screaming. And what had Brenna been doing there? I suppose I shouldn't question that. She definitely saved me. Allie and I drove in silence, but she kept giving me sidelong looks. Kept checking behind us, just in case. Allie was nice enough to wait until I calmed down before asking about it. And that was just about when we reached the school. Okay, now tell me. I don't know. I was going over the bridge and I heard a voice. I shouldn't have looked. I definitely should not have looked. I shouldn't have told you that. I should not have told you that. What was it? I'm not sure. It looked vaguely person-shaped, but it had huge teeth and eyes. It tried to grab me. I pulled up the sleeve of my jacket and showed her the distinctly hand-shaped mark on my forearm. Whoa, are you okay? I nodded. Come on, let's go up to the clubroom. I don't want to sit out here in the cold. I just nodded again and followed her as she started into the school. How'd you manage to get away from it? She was speaking quietly, but there was no one around to hear us anyway. Brenna actually showed up and helped. Brenna did? Why? She just doesn't usually get involved in things unless she has to. I guess that does kind of narrow down what it might have been, though. How so? Well, normally something like that could have been just about anything. There are tons of nature spirits, elementals, ghosts that lurk about, but Brenna typically doesn't take an interest in things unless it involves the Fae. Why is that? Well, she is one. A fairy, that is. It makes sense. I'm just glad she was there. It was trying to drag me into the woods. Well, for the time being, I think it would be best if you don't go checking out any more voices until you've learned a little more about this world, especially this time of year. This time of year? There's always a peak of activity in the paranormal community before Halloween and Samhain. It's best to be a little cautious this time of year. No more checking weird voices. And until you've learned a little bit more about what to expect and what to avoid, no more walks by yourself. I could definitely agree with that. I looked at my forearm again. It's going to be going all motley and purple. It was definitely going to bruise. Come on, let's go up. You can stay in the clubroom until you calm down and feel better, okay? What about class? Well, we're given a little more lenience when it comes to being late. I mean, a lot of the teachers are cryptics, you know. We can get you a late pass. What? The principal, too. Has that always been the case? Well, you didn't think there would be a club of paranormal and magic people in the school without the staff knowing, did you? The truth is, there are a lot of places that are sort of hubs for the supernatural community. This town is like that. There are a lot of us here. So the school is definitely a bit of a haven for people like us. Walking into the clubroom wasn't quite as weird as yesterday. At the very least, this time the weird shift from reality to not reality was less jarring. I went straight to the sofa and flopped down face first into a throw pillow. Is it always like this? Well, yes and no. I mean, it's always pretty wild, but you quickly learn how to handle it all. When to stick your nose in and when to stay out of things. Here. I looked up to see her holding out a bottle of water for me. I took it from her as she sat down. Here's the plan. I think you should go to the library and do some reading. The more you know about other cryptics, the more you'll be able to handle the situations that come up. That's important for all of us. Knowledge is power and all that. Books, 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 books. What about you? I'm going to call the agency and have them check on that bridge occupant. The agency? Yeah, the Cryptic Management Agency. We kind of mentioned them yesterday, remember? What are the odds you just ended up at Hogwarts by accident? I'm pretty sure this was written after Harry Potter became a phenomenon, but no way that they could do anything remotely similar to Harry Potter. Yesterday is a bit of a blur, to be honest. I just remembered something about a registration office. It's part of the agency. Like I mentioned, hey. It randomly shut down Twitch on my tablet. What the heck? There we go. Like I mentioned, there's actually a government organization dedicated to dealing with the paranormal. More home, die and you get a failing grade. And then the reason I couldn't go hide in my closet and pretend none of this happened. Basically, yeah. So some government agency handles things like rich occupants? Well, yes and no. The Department of Paranormal Regulation is an umbrella organization for several smaller groups. The Registration Office, Containment and Control, Surveillance and Investigation. But those are all federal groups. Locally, we get a management agency. I guess you could think of them as being similar to local law enforcement. They have several departments that all basically try to keep the peace where cryptics are concerned. More homework. For the most part, they protect humans and try to keep cryptics from disrupting normal society. I see, I think. It sounds hard. It can be. A lot of cryptics fit in with humans, but so many of them just don't. They're too alien, too wild. Some aren't even sentient. Anyway, the local agency has a department that handles this sort of thing. And doesn't the club, work with them or whatever? Yep, I do too, personally, part-time, but not everyone in the club does. Anyway, no need for you to worry about any of that. Right now, I want to show you something you're going to love. She soon led me to a door at the back of the room. I followed behind much more slowly. Is this something that's going to freak me out? Yes, but in a good way, I promise. I watched her dubiously as she rapped 3 times and pushed the door open. Peeked over her shoulder, wondering what exactly she thought I was going to love so much in what I had assumed was a closet. What? Surprised? So many books. Books. Ah! I want the box. Give me the box. There probably are rules to keep cryptics from interfering with the federal government. What? Yeah, I was surprised. There was a massive library of awesome hiding behind that door. Of course I am. How? This has to be some sort of space-bending alternate dimension craziness or something. It's something like that. She took my arm and pulled me into the library. My morning had just gotten about 1,000 times more awesome. Basically, Lily, just about anything is possible with magic. We can get to multiple places from the door in our club room, but from inside the library, that door will only lead back to the club. Is that why you knocked like that? Yeah, the different patterns and numbers of knocks determines where you end up. There is obviously a limit, so none of the patterns are too complex. Okay, this whole thing is weird and scary, and I'm not entirely sure I'm okay with any of it, but this part is so damn cool. Does it come on ebook? Aw, is my little bookworm excited? Yes, she is. I thought you meant I should do reading at the school library or something. Allie laughed as she waved to a bookish man behind a dark-cornered desk. He immediately left off what he was doing and came towards us. Lily, this is Vilos Iovanu. He's one of the caretakers of this place, and he's also a wizard. And he's hot. It's nice to meet you. He really didn't look at all like a wizard, but he nodded politely. And what can I do for you? Vilos, this is Lily. I told you about her? Ah, yes, a new member of the club, I recall. He had a fairly prominent accent of some kind. It sounded like he might be from Eastern Europe somewhere. Then again, for all I knew, this entire library was in Eastern Europe somewhere. Is this true? Well, there was kind of an incident this morning. He raised an eyebrow as he looked at us over the top of his glasses. He's just about to go contact the agency. In the meantime, I thought Lily could just stay here for a while. Maybe read up on various cryptics. Since she's still kind of new to all this, I was thinking she could start with something basic and go from there. Just something to start getting herself educated, especially considering how close we are to Samhain. Yes, this is a dangerous time to just be coming into this world. Of course! Of course she happens to be coming into it at the worst possible time. Dangerous? What exactly is so dangerous? She'd said something about an increase in paranormal activity. I'll try to explain it later. In the meantime, I'm sure we can locate some useful information for you, if you'll follow me. Well, that wasn't at all forbidding and concerning. I wandered after him, still looking around at all the books. What about when class starts? I told you not to worry about that today. Just stay in here and read for a while. Belos stepped behind his desk, shuffling around for something in a stack of papers. What sort of cryptic are you? I don't know. Sorry, we're still kind of fuzzy on that one. I see. Then what particular species would you like to research? If you're a beginner, I would recommend one of the more common species as the starting point. Many of them have subclasses you can delve into for further reading if you like. Slid a sheet of paper across the desktop toward me. Perhaps something on this list? Human psychics, infected vampires, werewolves, wizards, and witches. New member of the club, double entendre if I ever heard one. Okay. So I know what one, but we're gonna let the dice decide. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Human psychics. It was difficult to choose from such a random list. How could I know which one was relevant to me or which one might be the most useful? I didn't think I was really ready to read about bridge occupants. Then again, that wasn't a selection on the list anyway. I ended up choosing to read about human psychics. Starting with something human was less alarming than some of the others. Spend time as well as space. Then there really would be a TARDIS. Though I was in a magic library picking out research material on magic people to learn about myself and how to stay out of danger. That in and of itself was kind of alarming. Belos didn't seem surprised by my choice. He just nodded and let out a shrill whistle that echoed through the library. What I expected was some sort of magic librarian minion to wander out from the stacks, but it was actually something a little less jarring. The book just floated out of the shelves right to us. I could hear it whistling through the air even before it came into view and zipped into Belos' waiting hands. He immediately handed it to me. Took it gingerly, half expecting it to go flying off again. Thank you. Not at all. Allie looked at me curiously as she led me to a nearby table. You okay? Yeah, just a little, freaked out. I mean, not by this place, just sort of in general. And my arm hurts. Allie laughed gently and rubbed my back. I've been there, believe me. Anyway, I need to go call the agency and get a team out there to look for whatever accosted you earlier. I'm going to send someone in to sit with you. She cut me off before I could protest. I know you don't need a babysitter, but I'd rather not leave you here alone. Belos is here. Allie glanced back at the quiet man behind his desk. Like I said, I'd rather not leave you here alone. Fine, I'm not about to argue with someone who could probably turn me into a frog if I tick her off. Please, if I wanted to do anything like that, you'd have relocated to the bog years ago. She stuck her tongue out and quickly went back to the clubroom. I sighed and rubbed up my eyes before pulling the book closer. Opened to the first page, staring down at the words blankly. After a moment, I leaned forward and started reading. Humans are one of the few races with no inherent magic abilities as a species. However, there are some humans who develop innate non-magic abilities. These are what normal humans call psychics or espers. Gilded shadows, anyone? Media has portrayed psychics with a vast array of phony fortune-telling and spoon-bending powers, but the reality is actually far different. The most common psychic ability is the ability to see the paranormal. Generally speaking, paranormal in this sense refers to spirits and ghosts. There are, however, psychics who have sight that goes far beyond the spirit realm. Hidden prequel. No, Gilded Shadows, of course, is very different. Espers and Gilded Shadows are very different from psychics here. I just thought it was funny. I guess that made sense. It wasn't like the concept of psychics being able to see dead people was new. Many psychics develop a variety of telekinetic or telepathic abilities, but some never achieve anything more than sensitivity to certain types of supernatural activity. But yeah, the developer for Changeling and Gilded Shadows has said that they are not connected, that they're different universes. But they did include an Easter egg referencing Changeling in Gilded Shadows. So I guess all that stuff is real then. It shouldn't have come as a shock considering I was sitting in a magic library. I couldn't help but wonder just how large the paranormal community actually was. It seemed to me that keeping all this a secret from the rest of society must be a monumental task. I looked back at the text in front of me. It's funny, some people headcanon that in the Harry Potter verse, in America, they don't even bother trying to keep wizards secret from muggles. Just because America is so big compared to England. Or Britain, I should say. Though psychics often have no talent for magic, some are able to learn to channel energy for the sake of repelling or vanquishing spirits and other paranormals. Cryptics that consume life force have described espers as being easy targets and very desirable prey. Consume life force? There are things that do that? Vampires. I've just decided that I totally don't want to be a psychic. Thank you very much. I slammed the book shut and pushed it away just as someone else walked up to the table. Are you alright? I started as a familiar voice interrupted my thoughts. Oh, Allie sent you? I guess you get to pick who shows up, and that's your route. Yeah, I did see that about Corbin being related to Magnus, but they're talking about Brennan and him being cloned from a psychic in the 21st century. I think the psychic was named William. So yeah, that's it for the demo. Of course, I am going to completely go through and try all the other options. So thank you all for joining me. I am planning to stream again on Wednesday. We'll be back in Kata Classic for that one. Someone pointed out, people who are streaming FF14, that you don't really want the chat to be showing up on the stream, so I took steps to prevent that from happening. So thank you all for joining me. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like, share, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. I don't know, I am planning to buy the full game and stream that, but I don't know when that's going to happen. Next week will either be the demo for When Stars Collide or Barry. Either one of those. And then whichever, if I do When Stars Collide, then I'll stream Barry after I finish that demo. So take care, have a great day, a great week whenever you watch this, and if it is around Halloween time, have fun. For any holiday, have a good holiday. Bye.